The real problem, apparently, we have finally gotten to the bottom of it. I'm glad somebody with the San Francisco Giants finally admitted it. The real problem is also the crown jewel of the entire organization, the ballpark.
The ballpark is the problem?
The ballpark is the problem.
Come on. You're telling me the most gorgeous ballpark in the history of baseball is a problem? I'm going to need you to explain that one.
The owner of the team. The owner of the team.
Charles Johnson?
Greg Johnson.
Okay, Charles's guy.
Right. Well, his son.
Right. Well, it's his guy, I'm
sure. Like he hired him.
Right.
It's his son. It's his son. And he is the highest level spokesperson for the organization right now, right? So he goes on the TK pod. Tim Kawakami will join us later on the show about 5 o'clock. That's an hour after Bill Burr. Bill Burr.
Bill Burr
is going to be on the damn show today. Do not miss Bill Burr on Willard and Dibs. But we're going to talk to TK as well. He spoke to Greg Johnson, and this was his answer when he was asked about the Giants' struggles in attracting a free agent superstar hitter.
Hopefully we have superstars coming up the ranks right now that will be those players. I think we aggressively went after every name you mentioned. I think we had a chance, but I also think most of their minds were made up before those meetings as well for a lot of reasons, which I won't go into. I don't think it's any negative on Farhan or any negative on the team's approach. We were aggressive in going after them. We didn't get them, and remember that our park is not viewed as one of the easy parks to hit home runs in. So to go get a Bryce Harper or a Ohtani, any of those, or a Judge for that matter, I think we're the 5th hardest park to hit home runs in Major League Baseball. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to go out there and get the home run hitter. We're pleased with where we are. We were aggressive in going after them, and that's all we can really do.
Okay, follow up. I think the obvious follow-up, and TK asked it. Hold on, Greg. What about not the ballpark, but the city in which the ballpark sits? What about San Francisco, that dirty, rotten city that you all play in? Is that actually why the free agents won't come?
Yeah, I don't think that really, it's hard to say, but, at the end of the day, I think it's really more about the ballpark and just, home runs and ease of hitting home runs, going after those big players, the big home run hitters.
Okay, so first off, thank you, Greg. Get off one aspect.
Yeah, he didn't really definitively say that.
Yeah, he said it's not that. He said it's the ballpark. The ballpark.
Well, he didn't say that it wasn't the city.
You can't speak for every individual. Maybe there are individuals who don't want to come to San Francisco.
According to Buster Posey, there are.
Yeah, but ballpark. Get off the city. Get off that narrative. That's not it. That never was it. Even if it was it, don't say it out loud. That was my point all along. Don't perpetuate that around the country. That doesn't serve you, so why are you doing it? But can we have a real conversation about this place? This place that is beautiful, this place that houses memories for us, it houses 3 championships. In terms of a visual aspect of the fan experience, I haven't been to all ballparks. I can't think of many better. I cannot think of many better.
Right.
However, it's a pain in the ass to hit the ball out of there. It really is. I mean, the Giants are playing well now in that ballpark in the last handful of weeks. Yesterday was the only game they've lost there in the last 2 weeks. But during that time, I mean, we could look it up. All those wins since the Dodgers left town, how many balls they hit out of the ballpark? I bet.
Not many.
I'm not looking, but I bet we could count on one hand.
Yeah, probably 5 or fewer.
All right. So here we are in 2024 when it is largely all about the long ball. Pitchers don't hit anymore. We're not moving runners over or giving a crap about that anymore. It's about swing from and out of your shoes and try to hit the ball over the fence, and you largely can't do it here. You pretty much can't do it.
The opponent can.
Not really.
I mean, they had 2 homers yesterday.
Yeah,
Philly had 2. You had none.
Yeah, you're going to have games. Like the Giants have had games with that 2, but let's be real.
Yeah.
Like the night before, they went into the 10th inning and nobody had scored, and the only reason they scored now is because they changed the rules of the game. So it is very, very difficult to hit the ball out of there. Should we do something about that?
Yeah, what you should do is get better players. Get guys who can actually hit home runs.
Well, but I mean, like, we're talking about the good ones. They don't want to hit here. Right. They don't want to hit here.
They don't want to hit here, but, I mean, Barry Bonds was never one who complained about hitting here, and he's the best to ever do it.
Correct. So I think it's a little bit of an outlier.
It is an outlier,
and he was also physically enhanced in order to do what he did.
I mean, Kyle Schwarber came in and he was able to get one out of here.
Yeah, he hit one.
And the Phillies hit 2, and I think it's less about the ballpark and it's more about the fact that you don't have guys who can actually hit home runs. And your best power hitter this year has been a guy who has not been great, and he's been in and out. He's been a little bit injured. And other than that, you don't have a lot of power bats. Conforto, he's been hurt. Chapman, hot for a bit, and he's not really done much at home. And I think that it's more about the roster for me than it is about the ballpark.
Can you guys look up how many home runs have been hit at Oracle Park this year? And Giants and road visitors. How many home runs total?
We'll get that for you in a second. Yeah. I can just say over the last 12 games, so 6 games at home, 6 games on the road, 3 home runs in 6 home games hit by the Giants. 9 home runs in 6 road games hit by the Giants.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. They obviously don't have any of the top home run hitters in the game.
Right.
I'd argue that they have a lineup that, in theory, has pop up and down it. They don't have a lot of players who flat out just don't hit home runs. I mean, there was Nick Ahmed. That's not a home run hitter. But outside of that, I would argue that every single player in that lineup has pop. They've got power. Matos, Ramos, Yaz, Conforto, Bailey, Tyro, Lamont, Flores, Chapman. These are all guys who they're capable of 20 home run seasons.
Giants so far this year, 33 homers on the road, 18 at home. And that is almost in identical games played.
There you go.
They've played one more game on the road than they have at home.
We can do data all day. I think we already know the answer. It is an incredibly hard ballpark to hit a home run. So, I think there's 2 parts of the conversation here. One is, do you accept this as, if you want to use the word excuse, reason, do you accept the owner of the Giants saying, well, ballpark, especially when we're trying to go after a left-handed power hitter, Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani, because even the home runs you're talking about, Schwarber's left-handed, but what did he do? That was Oppo. Like, right center field, that's a thing. And they brought it in already once, and it's still a thing. Like, it's incredibly, you have to pump that thing so hard in order to hit a right center field home run in this ballpark. And so, A, do you accept the owner of the Giants suggesting that that's the reason they can't lure a power hitter? 888-957-9570. And then the second question is, what do you do about it?
Exactly. You get the wrecking ball and you tear down that atrocity in right field that provides some of the best views in the Bay Area. You just wreck that thing down and build the wall at about, 6.5 feet, and make sure it's not chain link, because as we heard from Austin Slater, the chain link fence is very dangerous. So now you're going to get a nice cushy wall, maybe brought to you by Pump It Up. Maybe the right field wall is a Pump It Up wall, and you make it inflatable. That way that everybody's safe and all the home run hitters can hit home runs. And, you lose the great views of the water, but, you have a ballpark that's much more befitting to hitters.
Obviously, and I know you're being sarcastic.
Completely sarcastic.
We're not knocking down
Tear down that wall.
Thank you, Mikhail.
Gorby.
Yeah. So, we're not tearing down the ballpark. But Dibs, they already adjusted the fences once. Are we arguing that that's off the table to do it more? Are we arguing that that's off the table to make adjustments to the fences?
It's not off the table.
Okay.
But are you going to put a fence in front of the wall?
They already moved that fence in once.
Right.
They already clipped off which part of the bricks that fence attached to. They already did it once.
So now you're going to move it all the way across the bricks and move it in even more?
I'm just in an open-minded space.
Yeah, I get
I'm
it.
in an open-minded space because my answer to the first question is yes. I accept your reasoning. I really do. If you want to call it an excuse, I don't think that works for me because my argument would be you should have known this already in the way that you've built your ball club. In other words, if you feel, because the Bryce Harper conversation, God, how many years ago was that they tried to lure Bryce? That's a number. That's a number of years ago now that they tried to lure Bryce. So if your argument is our ballpark is a detractor to signing power hitters as free agents, then get them a different way. Draft them,
right,
or trade for them.
By the way, really quick, 28 home games for the Giants.
Yes.
40 total home runs have been hit in those games, 18 by the Giants, 22 by opponents.
There you go. So it's pretty even, Steven, in terms of who's hitting them. And the bottom line is not many. It is less and significantly less than 2 a game. You see 2 home runs when you buy a ticket to go see a Giants game. You see 2 home runs. I hope you on the way out, you're like, wow, Dad, we really saw a hot one today. Boy, the ball was jumping out of there. 2 home runs in the same game. Yeah, Lucas, sorry.
Those 40 home runs are the fewest in any Major League ballpark. Second to, actually, Coors Field. How about that? Second fewest home runs.
Coors Field is so weird this year because they're so bad. The Rockies are so bad that you look at their numbers. Normally, the Rockies, even when they're bad, you look at their run differential and whatnot. It's like, well, they score a ton, but they give up even more. This year, they just give up a normal amount of runs, and they can't hit there.
Yeah.
Let alone can they hit somewhere else. It's pretty wild. But what would you say to those 2 questions? A, do you accept Greg Johnson's reasoning? B, what do you do about it?
You get better players. You draft better players, and you draft better hitters, and the Giants are 20th in baseball in home runs. So it's not the ballpark's fault that your team is not very good at hitting home runs. Now, is it a contributing factor? Sure. And as they just mentioned, the fewest number of home runs in any ballpark is here in San Francisco. There are certain factors, though, with the weather that are always going to make it harder to hit here.
That's fair.
So you can move the fences in. The bottom line for me is get better players. Draft guys who will come up and be home run hitters.
A lot to say about